So it has been forever since I've made guide videos for Albion, and I finally wanted to go ahead and break the streak. So I'm going to be making a guide series covering a wide range of topics. This first video is going to be on what to focus on as a brand new player, as well as a lot of tips on buying and selling gear, which you're going to be doing a lot of in Albion Online. And lastly is going to be a small bit about learning points, which you're going to be accumulating considering you have premium. You're going to be getting learning points, and I'm going to go over a little bit about what to spend those on as well. And for those who may or may not know, I do stream the game a lot over on Twitch, and people are constantly coming into my chat and they're like, what's the best build? How do I make silver? Why do you suck at this game? I thought I should probably start off this video by basically just answering some of the most basic questions that players come up with when they're first starting the game. If you're looking for something specific, I'm going to have a list of videos down below as I make them. So check the description for any. If there's none, then I probably just made this one so far, but I do plan to make a few more in the next week or two. So keep an eye out for those. But guys, without any further, let's go ahead and jump into it. First thing on the list is to focus on something specific. This applies to everything in Albion. Now, this game is obviously a sandbox, so just do whatever you feel like, but it is far more efficient to focus on one thing, and that's in all aspects. For example, with gathering, it's more valuable to get one gathering to tier 8 than it is to get all of your gathering to tier 5. It's better to get your specialization in crafting one item to max than it is to be able to craft everything in the game at a low spec. And it's better to have one gear set max spec than to be able to wear everything at tier 8. I have seen a lot of times brand new players using up a lot of time and effort at the start trying to craft literally everything they want to wear. I've heard it a bunch. It is vastly more efficient to just craft one thing, especially when you're just getting started, and then just buy the rest of your gear. In Albion, you're not a jack of all trades. You make shoes.
What is my purpose?
You pass butter.
Oh my god.
No, but really, do whatever you want. It is a sandbox, but it is best and more efficient to just focus up. And just a quick note, since I'm mentioning crafting and refining in this first tip, it's worth noting for newer players that cities or biomes, if you're in the black zone, have different bonuses for crafting and refining. You can find these bonuses in this menu here. So keep this in mind when you're doing these activities. Don't waste all your money and resources crafting in a city where you're not going to get good returns. But moving on to a few tips about buying and selling gear. First off, use buy orders and sell orders. They are a massive way to save money or just make money. See this button here? This is a scam yourself button. Don't get tempted. There are plenty of lazy or unaware players hitting the quick buy or sell options. And if you want to make a little money on them every time you make a transaction, use buy orders and sell orders. Another way to save money with gear purchase is weighing the options of tier and enchantment. Almost all of the items in the game are divided into tiers and enchantment levels. These levels dictate the item power of an item. Higher item power means more damage, more defense, more crowd control duration. These tiers and enchantment levels are referred to usually by flat 4, 4.1, 4.2. It goes up to a 0.4 in enchantment level. Now, before I move on, what does that translate into? Like the difference between different tiers? My best explanation of this is one tier of power between two players is an advantage. 2 tiers of power is an almost guaranteed win, and 3 tiers is typically an unwinnable situation. Just to give you an idea of what 100 spec or 1 tier of difference is. So unless you're into losing money, don't bother fighting people when they're 2-3 tiers above you. And this is obviously offset if you outnumber, or there's a million different things that can play into a PvP engagement, but it's good to know how much stronger someone is to you. So each enchantment level is effectively 1 tier in power. So 4.1 is equal to 5. 4.2 is equal to 6. It's pretty simple. So this tip is essentially to check different options when looking for gear. If you're looking to run around in T6 equivalent gear, check flat 6. Then also check 5.1, check 4.2. They all could be different prices. All of them are super close in power, and some will be cheaper depending on craft resource demand or simply what just people have crafted and listed. Something else that affects item power is quality of an item. And I know this is a lot for each item, so just bear with me. So aside from tier and enchantment level, there is also quality on each item. You can see this breakdown of IP if you hover over the number on the item, but essentially quality just boosts this number. So my tip here is often the excellent quality item is similarly priced to the lower qualities. An excellent quality is half a tier higher, or 50 item power. Almost always, most experienced players will check excellent to see if it's just a few thousand higher than the item they're trying to purchase. And it's worth noting that you can re-roll the quality of an item at the repair table, but this is almost always a waste of money. So when you're buying gear, just check for the excellent versions, and if they're not too much more, grab them. It's half a tier. So my last tip on buying gear is always use top tier food. Something that a lot of newer players do is they'll use lower tier foods when they're new. You don't need to do that. You can run off the rip, brand new character, buy top tier food, and you should. At the cost of most food, it's almost always worth using the highest tier. For example, T6 Stew, which increases your damage by 9.5%, is roughly 1.5k. Beef Stew, which is the tier 8 version of the same food, gives you 13.5% damage for just over 3k. Now, while that's double in price to the other food, this is like pennies in general, and you're getting 4% increased damage. When mobs in the black zone are popping out between 1 and 50,000 silver sometimes, these amounts are almost negligible. And now alongside this tip, it's worth noting that if you're in an item power restricted content like arenas, hellgates, or abyssal depths, food is not mitigated by this reduction, nor are potions. So the highest tier of food and potions are insanely effective in these types of content. So while that 8.4 gear set that you just swiped your credit card for is being reduced down to a tier 6, your 8.3 beef stew is still giving you that full 17.5% damage boost. So it can sometimes be worth it spending extra if you're looking to win in PvP. And this will be particularly useful in the abyssal depths, which should be releasing sometime around this video guide series. Next on my list is to save your learning points for gathering. Learning points are points you get when you have premium that basically 5x your leveling speed in different activities. Combat and crafting are honestly very fast to level, especially if you're doing the right activities, but leveling gathering takes forever. Now you might be saying right now, well, I'm not a gatherer, so I don't need this tip. But it is very likely that even if you're just some pure adrenaline PvP player, you're still fairly likely to level up gathering, since almost all players in this game have it leveled to some extent. Gathering in this game is sometimes just a super passive side thing that you do while you're doing other activities. Even like a lot of those big gank groups that are roaming the black zone, half of them will have tools on them, because if you pass something that's super enchanted, some 6.3, 7.3 node, you're going to want to stop, take 20 seconds, and make a couple 100,000 in silver, right? So you're likely to actually wind up leveling gathering, even if you're not interested in it when you're making your character. So just consider that even if you're a brand new character, you might want to save your learning points for gathering. And actually, that's going to be it for this video. This is actually me recording post-editing here, because it turns out I recorded way too many tips for just one video. There turned out to be around like 20 to 25 minutes of footage. So I'm actually going to break this up into more bite-sized pieces. I figure that's probably better. So we're going to end the video with those. The next video is going to be on full loot tips, basically how to survive in the full loot zones, and a couple other things regarding that. But anyways, guys, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you around.